Hello everyone, my name is Alexey Chonin and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at the Pretty Small Company. And as you have mentioned, today's video is going to be in English. And there is a reason. Today we have a special guest. The American top hookah blogger, one of the most recognized person in the United States hookah community. Special guest at Hookah Club Show 2019. And one of the biggest hookah enthusiasts I know, Brandon Olesen. Hello, man. How are you?
What's up? What's going on, Alex? How you doing?
I have several questions for you today, and the first one is, what the hell are you doing here? How the hell did it happen that American person is sitting here in St. Petersburg and came here obviously not for sightseeing?
Very good question. A few years ago, I came across some Russian products when I was living in Lithuania, working with the Department of Defense on a project. And I made a lot of Lithuanian friends, and they said you have to try Russian hookahs because they knew that I was an enthusiast. And at first I was kind of skeptical because there was never a time where I ever thought that I should look towards Russia for anything hookah related. My first purchase was a hoop hookah, and it was fairly easy to do. The customer experience was good. And ever since then, I've been hooked.
Okay.
And as you know, I was always desiring for something more. So I found your site actually, and we developed this great relationship with each other. You shipped
I remember
me.
that.
Yeah, it was good. And you shipped me my second Russian
It was
hookah
2 years ago, right? 2.5.
2.5 years ago. Yeah. And ever since then, I've just been striving for more products, more bowls, more tobaccos, accessories, because it's a hookah culture that I haven't experienced. And so I kind of dove forward in social media, created a VK account, and started diving into it. And then I found out about Hookah Club Show, and last year, around the same time, I had to come. There was no question about it. And that's how I ended up here. And I don't come here for sightseeing at all. I experienced the Hermitage, and that's about as far as it goes. Okay. Everything else, I'm just going from lounge to store. Just.
How many lounges have you been at?
All the top ones,
No, all of them. Just the number.
Oh God, that's a difficult question to ask, but I've been to a lot of them. Usually it's the usual hookah tourist destinations. So obviously we're thinking about Tangiers Lounge, Hookah Box Aviator. Those are like the big three that okay. Stick out most to.
The Art Hookah Family Project.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. However, there's a lot of hidden gems that I feel that are out there in the community or out here in St. Petersburg, such as Pheromone is very good, Balkon, very good as well. Also Liberty Lounge was also a really great gem, really hard to find, but it's a really fun experience with the hookah master there.
Kind of authentic, right?
Really, just a person that's deeply in tune with hookah. So meeting someone like that, as friendly as that person is, phenomenal. It's just a whole new experience I've never had before.
Tell me a little more about that. How did you got acquainted to the hookah culture for the first time? How did you understand that you're going to be one of the most active person in the international hookah community?
I didn't expect this. I was just planning on just trying to bridge the gap. You know, trying to break down stereotypes between East and West and say, hey, there's more for you out there. You don't have to accept what's in the local market if you're not happy with it. You know, a lot of things that I feel are extremely overpriced in America. You have bowls that are $120. You have hookahs that are $500-$700. And I'm thinking to myself, why am I doing this when I can get something as useful as these two hookahs right here?
Bowls for $120.
Bowls for $120.
It's like 8 or 9,000 rubles.
Yeah, absolutely, they exist.
That's crazy.
They exist in the U.S. And I'm not saying that these bowls are bad. They're great bowls, but they do exist and they sell really fast.
Wow.
That's a funny thing to me. So when I kind of dove forward and started experiencing Russian hookah culture, that I don't need to spend all these thousands of dollars on products from America or from Germany when I can get even better experience for a fraction of the price by coming to Russia. So this is why I really believe in that.
So better and less expensive.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Let me ask you the next thing. You told me that you know all the big people in American community, American hookah community, like Hookah John, Eric Hoffman from Tangiers, guys from Fumari, and many others. How can you describe those people? Are they businessmen at first, or they are as much of an enthusiast as you?
Well, that's to be honest, it's kind of a mixed bag. There are some people out there that are just in it for the money, and it's quite obvious. You see it in the way they post, in the way they interact with the community. But there's also you really look at how they interact with other community members and with like non-industry people, and you can see this spark or passion for new innovative products, for research and development to try and increase and try and do better for hookah culture for the United States. I'm not too well tuned with the Russian community and its industry and manufacturers and to tobacco manufacturers as well. I'm not too in tune if they're in it for the money or if they have a general passion for it. I would assume it's the same.
That was my next question. Kind of provocative.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that in an American hookah culture, it's a mixed bag. It's you can see it in the way they talk and the way they speak about hookah products and the way they speak about the culture and preserving it in the United States. That's my answer.
Okay, I'm still gonna ask it.
No, you should.
The question is, you tell that there are some people in America who are obviously for money in this industry. Are there anyone in Russian hookah industry who is obviously for money?
I honestly don't know that for sure. I can't tell.
Okay.
Because from what I've experienced talking...
That's not on the display, right? At least.
Huh?
That's not on the display, at least.
It doesn't seem like that.
Okay.
When I interact with people from the industry here in Russia, when I speak to them, they speak with passion. They speak in a manner that's very innovative. It seems like they're speaking from their heart and not with their wallet out, asking for money. Obviously, they would like to expand. I think every brand would love to do that. And I believe it's very, very possible. You know, at the rate we're going, it's inevitable. But when I say, for instance, I had a meeting with Darkside. When I spoke with them, they spoke with passion. They were curious about how I felt about their product and what can they do to improve their product. Now, we don't really have that in the US. I don't think that they're as in tune as the Russian industry is.
Okay. And the dark side is the most, I think, the most successful financially hookah company in Russia.
Absolutely.
Still passionate.
It must be.
Yeah.
It must be, or it wouldn't be there.
Can you tell me in general, what's the difference between the industry in Russia and in the United States? Which one is bigger now? Which one is growing faster?
Oh, that's hands down. The Russian industry is just taking off. Like from Hookah Club Show last year to this year, you can tell that there's more innovative products always consistently coming out. In America, not so much. Not so much. There's more artisan products in the USA in comparison to Russia. However, as far as I'm concerned, there is there seems to be a growth lacking inside of the United States of America, because I don't think we're all united to create something bigger, right? What I get when I'm talking with other industry leaders, they are in it. They have a sense of respect for each other, where we're all in this together. We have to work together in order to continue to grow. So let's collaborate. Let's do something like, for instance, Total Flame and Satire, right? They collaborated with each other to create a new product. You will never see that in the United States because it's too divided.
Okay. And do the America ready for this? Do the American market ready for big step up, fast grow the industry?
We like to talk about it. But it takes action at the end of the day. You know, a lot of people would like to talk on the internet about growing the community, growing our hobby, growing this or growing that, but the action hasn't taken place. Action hasn't taken place.
Okay. Can you name me the most popular hookah products in the USA? Not Russian made.
Not Russian made. Okay, well, two hookahs I want to say right off the bat is the B2 hookah and the Regal. The Regal is like, I think you could say like an American classic car.
American classics, yeah.
Yeah, it's an American classic. George Johnson, the creator of Regal Hookah, has always been a very humble gentleman, a great guy to speak to over the phone, and he puts out a pretty good product for the American market, absolutely. Is it fluid in Russia? I don't think so. I think, a couple of lounges carry Regals, but it's mostly Americans. They have this passion for Regals because of the person behind it.
Yeah.
B2 hookah is the first modular hookah where you can take it into pieces. It's the first one with a screw-in diffuser, metal on metal connectors, these kind of modern features, and it kind of stepped things up a little bit for the American market. And he's still, he just cranked out a new model recently called the F22, and it looks good. It looks good.
Okay.
So yeah.
Speaking of the persons behind, how important do you think the personal brand for the moving to the industry, for the moving of certain products? Name some persons that you think that without them the brand wouldn't cost nothing.
In Russia or
in Russia? Yeah.
Oh, that's a great question. Are you familiar with Surt Bowls? There's a gentleman named Caro who's behind Surt Bowls.
Okay.
I think the way he acts, the way he is in person, the face of that brand itself, even though that his bowl production is rather low, he can really step up and make a good product, and his connection with the international community is already making him sales. I think that he's a charming individual, and he's really a phenomenal person to talk to. Also, Sergi from Freegate,
Yeah.
also
Okay.
a really fun guy to talk to. And
Yeah,
I think
he's great.
the brand would not be the same without his face behind it.
That's for sure.
Absolutely. You got to have some personality behind the brand. If you don't have personality, people forget about you very easily.
Did you have the bong experience with Frigate in Russia
Last year.
last year?
Not this year. Not this year. It's a one-time experience. I fell back in my chair, and I drank water for like 30 minutes, and I had to get my head straight. But it was something I've never experienced before. But like I said, Sergi is a great guy, phenomenal
Okay.
guy to talk to.
You are an American citizen, right?
Yes.
And you are in St. Petersburg, Russia now. For the second time, by the way. Bears in the street, vodka, ultrasonic missiles, and other media buzz about Russian-American relations are all over right now. So the question is, do you feel all that stuff being here, situated here? What's the difference between last year and this year, 2019?
So I was a little nervous coming to Russia for the first time. I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
You know, what you see on TV all the time from American media, and I'm sure that you have the same thing. I'm just not well in tune with it. It's nervous. But I remember when I came, you were the first person to meet me at the airport.
Yeah.
And you took me over to one of your Peter Smoke locations, and we hung out and talked. And the more people I meet, the more welcome I feel. The first year at Hookah Club Show, I got a lot of hugs. People knew who I was. You're like, oh, Brandon, please, yeah, come with me, blah, blah, blah. And it was so amazing that people knew who I was. And even this year was even crazier. It was even crazier where people were just like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in a year. And then, you know, Dava and Dimu Gustoy and Naule Alexander came up and gave me a big old hug. Sarkozy, all these guys. They came up and said, oh my God, dude, it's so good to see you again. Let's go to the lounge. Let's go do this or that, blah, blah, blah. And it feels good to feel that welcome. Even more to the point where I feel more at home here than I do even in my own country.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that's impressive.
it is.
Okay, but let's get back to the main talk. The reason you're here is the Hookah Club Show. The main
Absolutely.
reason is, let's talk about it. The biggest hookah event in the world, been 3 days ago. Are you impressed or what? Tell me about your impressions.
Who wouldn't be impressed? That's the real question, is that if you come to St. Petersburg, Russia, you know you're in the big leagues. You know, you're in it for the big show. Nothing else can compare to it. Shisha Messe in Frankfurt, probably the second largest, but it's also has a lot of vape products, you know, and not as much booth space. And although they have the same square footage in space, only half of it is full, right? And even a fraction of that is hookah products. So people that are enthusiasts have to make the journey. It's like I said in my first video that I launched on YouTube. St. Petersburg is the mecca of hookah, and Hookah Club Show is the pilgrimage. And I think every enthusiast needs to come and experience this firsthand. Because if I didn't believe it, I wouldn't be talking about it. But I am every single day about how amazing Russian hookah culture is, and how essential it is for anybody that is into this kind of hobby. Make the trip.
Speaking of the vape industry, this is an industry that been growing really fast, and then at some point it has just popped out. Do you think that something like that can ever happen to the hookah industry?
It depends. I think that, we have a lot of government restrictions trying to stop us from smoking because we're anti-tobacco, right? But I think in the Russian side of the house, on your side, I don't feel that vape will take over tobacco. I really don't believe this, because this is so big it cannot fail. It's people have this thing, this passion towards smoking tobacco. It's not about blowing into a vape pen. It's about the feeling, the buzz, the many different ways you could pack tobaccos, the different kind of brands are available. Like I said, WTO and Satir, especially with the Total Flame compilation or the Total Flame team up, those booths were packed because people love smoking tobacco.
Yeah.
And I think that's a culture that has developed over the past 10 years or something in Russia. It just skyrocketed and took off. And I can't go to a lounge where, the seating is completely packed.
And I think that there is another reason for that. We all know that there are some people behind that are making money off selling tobacco leaves and growing it. That's why I think that the tobacco industry never gonna pop out in some way, and the hookah is so popular, so
Yeah.
just impossible. Okay, best new products.
Ooh. Okay. The ones I was most impressed with at the show, as far as bowls are concerned, Sergey from Freegate developed a new bowl and launched it for Hookah Club Show. Supposedly this bowl can never overheat. Now that's interesting to me.
Okay.
Another thing that I really enjoyed was new products. I really enjoyed Element Tobacco, especially their Earth line. Not so much the water line, but their Earth line is phenomenal. Their Kashmir Feijoa is off the charts. Another thing I liked was the Satir and Total Flame. Right, their natural tobacco leaves just tasted amazing, and it was competitively priced. It wasn't something outrageous. Another thing that I liked Hype Tobacco. That seemed to taste very natural, very good. And let's see what else. I think it's called Samba Tobacco. Sarma tobacco. It's spelled differently on
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense to me, but
The
that
legal
tobacco,
one.
Oh my God, it's so good. I really enjoyed them, and of course, my favorite hookah. You know this more than anybody is Pharaoh. So I always enjoy going to their booth and smoking with them. So they have their Classica model that they launched. I don't know, like maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I finally got to try it, and it was very good.
I think I have the last question now. Are you or are you not gonna continue visiting Russia every year?
My hopes is to visit Russia more than once a year. I want to make it to the point where I can come 3 or 4 times a year. That's the goal. Because there's more to Russia than Hookah Club Show, and there's more to hookah culture than Hookah Club Show. But it is the event for the entire country. I don't think anything else even compares. It's impossible. Well, I don't think it's possible. So if I want to meet everybody at one time, Hookah Club Show is the place to be. However, I've made so many personal relationships in St. Petersburg and Moscow. I definitely want to make it out there, and I definitely want to make it to Krasnodar and Kemerovo and other fantastic cities that you have, and be able to shake everyone's hand all over again.
I believe that your main mission is to make the hookah industries from Russia and the US close together. And the way you do this is just great. On behalf of all Russian hookah community, I want to say thank you, really. Thank you for what you're doing. You're a really great person, and it's just a pleasure to know you. That's all for today, guys. You've been watching the Peter Smoke TV channel. Please do likes, subscribe to the channel, and also please subscribe the Brandon's channel, Shisha Beyond Borders. The link's gonna be below.